This week, Sony has announced that they had acquired mobile game developer Savage Game Studios, making the launch of PlayStation Studios' mobile division. Sony are really on a huge buying spree. In a post in their official blog, PlayStation Studios head Herman Hulst talked about this new division, saying that Savage Game Studios is joining a newly created PlayStation Studios mobile division, which will operate independently from our console development and focus on innovative, on the go experiences based on new and existing PlayStation IP. What do you think of this one, boys?
It's, I mean, it falls in line with our discussion back. I think it was in 1st of June was the episode. I looked it up that we were talking about Jim Ryan, PlayStation boss, talking about
Jack Ryan.
yes, our favorite CI agent. Basically, at the time, we're like, wait, they're saying that like they're gonna split their releases between like console, PC, and mobile, and we're like, what mobile games are they got coming out? Because it said they're going to have 10% of their releases on mobile at the end of this financial year. Well, there you go. They already obviously had this acquisition lined up because Savage Game Studios apparently already working on a live service mobile game. So
Yeah, they're going hard in the paint on the live as service stuff, aren't they? Like, I mean, it's something that they've fully identified. And now, you know how we're both, Swinny, going almost into the back catalogue of Sony AAA titles? It's, going through them, I'm like, fuck, there is an element of similarity in the zone of what they do. Like playing Horizon Forbidden West, God of War, like Last of Us, I'm like, there's something about it that it's kind of like the same game to a degree.
these third person action adventures, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they're just like the narrative, the structures, the beats. It's quite like similar. Like you can kind of see a tone of all of them. So yeah, like the Bungie acquisition was massive. It's still so weird.
I keep forgetting they acquired Bungie.
Well, it's so weird that they're not like hard under like this division. It's like they're a separate thing that they can do what they want. It's so weird the way they've structured it.
Did that close? Did that deal close? Did that? I think it did finalize. I think
It has. Like, there's no risk to it closing.
So it's just on a completely random side note. PlayStation Studios head Herman Hulst. Am I crazy? Every time I read his name, I think of that TV sitcom Herman's Head.
Yeah.
That had was it the voice of Lisa Simpson in it or whatever. I just cannot think of that show.
Well, he's done well, hasn't he? It's crazy. Like coming from what's the studio that does Horizon? I can't even remember.
Guerrilla Games.
Yeah, Guerrilla Games. And now he's one of the head honchos at Sony. So
I will say they did state that, look, like, of course they're going to say this, but like it doesn't change their approach to their AAA console development and stuff, just like the PC stuff doesn't. It is going to be interesting to see what IPs they bring over. Astrobot is obviously one that would make a good transition. They've already done a Sackboy mobile title in the past, so they could always bring something like that back. It'd be interesting if they bring over anything like your God of Wars. Can't see Last of Us ever having a mobile game, unless maybe they do. Maybe they do a multiplayer like the Last of Us multiplayer thing on there. But yeah, it'd be interesting what they do.
outside of the whole, I think, look, none of us are fans of mobile games, but outside of that core element of just ripping people off and whales and stuff. Like, it feels like no other mobile game really is successful outside of doing that. It just, I don't know if it's translating that well. Like, it's just kind of weird to me because, like, look at Nintendo, right? They tried to do it right, sort of, with things like Super Mario Run, and people are like, "What? I got to pay $10 and I don't have to pay anything after that? This is bullshit." And it just doesn't work in the mobile space, just given the people in there. So. Yeah. I don't know.
Mike, as the number one fan of mobile gaming on this show, you a fan of this move?
I'm not a fan of any mobile game move because I don't want to rehash things I've spoken about many times before. I mean, look, it makes sense from a Sony perspective to buy stuff like this, purely because it's a revenue, it's a cash cow for them. I think some of these studios. So, and it's a market that I think for better or worse, is going to keep growing and growing and growing potentially. It's not something I enjoy whatsoever. I mean, you guys know I've got the smallest iPhone possible. I use it as a phone mostly, and sometimes YouTube. It's not the kind of thing that I play on. Maybe if I had a different device, sure, but I intentionally, take myself away from spending too much time on these kind of devices.
I feel like this is a little bit awkward, guys. As the executive producer, I do the deals behind the scenes, and we're kind of we need some ad money, and I this is awkward now that you just said that, Mike. But this week's show is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends.
All right.
Jump into the game. Type in Big Wig Pod and get 1,000 credits. It's basically free.
Credits.
I personally love this game.
Oh,
I
totally.
find it really enjoyable. Don't you, Mike?
I got the logo tattooed on my ass.
We actually do get a lot
not
of
sponsored.
offers to advertise. We're
It's
luckily
usually a crypto
we're
shit.
very no, we get like people reach out to advertise games, like regular mobile games and stuff like that, but we're selfishly very lucky that we don't need money from the show, so we can literally say fuck you. We don't give a shit. So
My last thought around this is that the reason why I don't mind this move, even though I'm not a big fan of mobile gaming, because I do try to get into mobile games, is that the only way I think that side of the industry is going to improve is by bigger players playing in it. I think that's the only way at this point that I think it's going to improve, because there are already indie games out there on mobile gaming that just don't get the attention, are good experiences, and you can purchase once off. There are games like that. But I think that, the only way I think it's going to get better is by people like this coming in.
Can I just counter that in a little way, because it's a bit like, if you care about games, you'll get a Steam Deck, you'll get a Switch, you'll get, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many other ways to game. I get what you're saying, Swinny, but I feel like if Apple Arcade, they couldn't get that working really, really well, even though they say it's successful, it doesn't look successful based on the numbers of what I see, but...
Well, if I had an iPhone, I'd actually be playing those games.
Oh, dude, like you would love, like, so Mike, with Apple Arcade, it's like I believe it's like no monetization the way it's meant to work. Like, you can't pay extra from what I remember.
So that's the same as like the Google Play version of Apple Arcade is the versions in there aren't monetized.
Yeah.
And I do play those games. It's just that, like, it is what it is.
Okay.
Fair enough. All right, well, let's move on to the next.